It's probably going to sound funny to you, but I believe faith is a decision you make and not necessarily a conclusion you come to. And for someone who likes to learn and who tries to, that's a hard thing to accept. You don't fully understand. And spirituality is a faith-based philosophy versus science or reasoning and evidence. And often religious people are accused of blindly accepting beliefs or notions. And sometimes that's all that they can handle. But I believe the best option is when you have logic and life experience working together with belief and faith. And so that's what I've been trying to figure out lately, is how I tie in logic and science and faith and religion. And that's where you have been challenging me a lot lately, because you're Mr. Science and logic guy. So when you really break it down, or maybe this is even another show topic, I don't know. This is kind of is the development of my faith.
Yeah, no, please.
So logic is a study, basically, the principles of valid inference or demonstration, right?
Right.
And faith is a belief in the trustworthiness of idea. It's an action taken on a belief that something is true.
It's accepting an idea without evidence.
Yes, I guess you could call it that.
Yes, I do call it that, because that's what it is.
Yes, faith draws on emotion, while logic from what is proven.
Mm-hmm.
So science is about logic, religion is about faith. And I think that we as humans are very emotional beings. We've evolved through the years, and we've talked about this from a history of superstition and sacrifices and praying for favors and idol worship, and we have lots in our history, and it's hard to understand the world. We want meaning. We want to be protected from death and suffering and unknown terrible causes. We want to know that someone's looking out for us. We want peace and security. We want to find understanding, and faith offers that. But science tells us what is found to be true through research and validation, and it's we're still learning about the world, but however, logic is not always right. It depends on whose logic you use. I heard this example once before, that it'd be logical to kill, all malformed babies to save the society the costs and the long-term effects. But obviously faith and our human responsibility, that conflicts. So we find it immoral to take life, basically. Anyways, I guess that's where it gets complicated. So you can't always rely on logic. So I think faith begins where reason and logic falters, or where it falls short. And I think this speaks of our dual nature, and I don't think it's a contradiction. I know you think it's kind of one or the other, but I think that they can complement one another. And that's part of the thing I love, that we do represent two extremes. Mormons are on the very religious end of the religious spectrum.
Yes.
And as far as atheists, you're probably one of the most well-informed atheists. I think a lot of people become atheists. They just get sick of religion and they just don't want to deal with it anymore, where you've made a logical conclusion, it seems like, why you believe what you believe.
Mm-hmm.
And you're the most educated and vocal atheist I've met.
Well,
so anyway,
I would say one of the reasons is atheists feel like they're not allowed to be vocal. They feel very guarded about sharing their non-beliefs with others.
You're definitely vocal with me.
I've come to a point where I'm just like, I don't care. You know what?
Sometimes I get you to shut up.
This is what I believe, and you're going to listen to me tell you why.
All right, well, let me just sum up, and then I want to hear about your little atheist story.
Oh, okay. Well, yours is much shorter than I thought it was going to be.
I guess I could go more into who I am.
I'm curious, and
yes.
I usually ask people, when they're so strong in their beliefs, when they're so fervent and adamant about why they believe in God, what has really been the staying force? What has been, I know you're not going to like this word, but evidence for you? You keep saying faith. You have to have faith. You have faith.
Yeah. I think
what is God to you? What do you see in the world that represents God?
I think the evidence is in my life and the things that I see in my life. I've noticed as I've lived my life a certain way, I've enjoyed the fruits of that type of living. And for me, that's the evidence. I feel like my life is better. I feel like I'm more at peace. I'm a better person. And I don't have it all figured out. And I've looked at both sides. I've looked at what it would be like to live without faith. My opinion is actually always changing. It's based on my knowledge and my study and life experience. It never really stays the same. I'm always changing.
Next year, the show could be The Atheist and the Agnostic.
No, well, the thing is, it's always changing, but not my faith in God. My understanding of him changes, but not in him, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
My understanding of how God works and his involvement in lives, that is always changing, and I'm never quite getting it. But for some reason, I always just had this deep-seated belief when I was a kid that there was someone else out there was something else out there that was above me. And that was what led me to study and to think and to I wanted to know, I wanted to understand, what is it that's driving me to understand this. The funny thing is, I feel like if I didn't believe in God, I would agree with you on almost every topic that we've discussed so far, and it would be a very boring show.
Wow.
But my belief in God really has shaped my opinions on most of these matters, on the matters of marriage and premarital sex and how we teach and raise our children. My faith has not always been the same. It's always changing. Either it's getting stronger or weaker every day based on your decisions, your actions, your study, like what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So my faith has changed over the years. It's definitely gone through stages and evolved.
I think there are a lot of people who may not know what the Mormon faith entails. Can you just give kind of broad stroke? I mean, you don't have to give too detailed account, but what do Mormons believe? What is the basis for the Mormon faith?
The basis for the Mormon faith. So the Mormon beliefs started, as you know, a young boy, Joseph Smith, who was kind of in a situation that a lot of people are today. There are so many different religions, and he was looking around and said, I don't know what church to join or what to do. And he was reading in the Bible, in King James Version, in Matthew, and he said, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God. And he's like, okay, I don't know what to do, so I'm going to ask God. And he went and prayed, and that's where the Mormon faith, our religion, actually began. Joseph Smith founded our church, and he was the first. He received the Book of Mormon, which is another testament of Jesus Christ, which is a story of Jesus Christ in the ancient Americas. And honestly, that is where a lot of my faith and my belief comes from, is from that book, the Book of Mormon, because I have read that book, and it's a long book.
I have it on my shelf. You were kind enough to give me a copy, so I knew.
And you're not using it as a coaster, right?
I'm not using it as a coaster. It may be gathering dust on the bookshelf, but I do have it there.
Fine. Well, I would be curious one day if you actually read part of it. Because I have to say, I've read that book multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
Many times. In fact, since I was probably 16, I've always had some consistent study or reading of that book.
Okay.
I've really found that it's enlightening, it's moving, it's an amazing, in the Book of Mormon, I found new heroes in their pages. It's the story of ancient prophets then, and what they taught their people, and the struggles, what they went through. And it really is an inspiring, amazing book where I found a lot of the problems we deal with today, seeing how they dealt with the same problems of pride and persecutions and such. And I think that's where a lot of my belief stems from, is from that book and from studying it. And that's why I'm a Mormon, because I've read that book, read it multiple times. I agree with the teachings and the doctrine, and I feel like it's made me a better person. I feel like it's a divine book, and I don't feel like Joseph Smith, with his third grade education, could have written such a book. And I know you have your opinions on the matters on that as well.
We can save it for another time.
Arguing, you can't bring them up.
I'm sitting on my hands.
I know you're
no
just
idea
over there.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, I think one of the things that Mormons really stand out, people that know Mormons know that they practice what they preach. They are a group of people. They're not just Sunday Christians that go to church on Sunday, say I'm believed, and do whatever they want during the week. They try to live and be better people and serve and be active in their community and to live good moral lives. I feel like my involvement with the Mormon church has been positive and beneficial for my life, and I plan on raising my kids in the Mormon faith and teaching them the doctrines that I feel like as a young child helped steer me down a path that led to a good life that I enjoy today. So did I have a convincing case?
Convincing? Were you looking to convince, or were you I wouldn't be convinced, but I'm just, I think it's good that we have an idea of where you're coming from, what your perspective is on the issues that we bring up on every podcast, because I think people need to know what your stances are and what has led you to believe what you believe.
I think that my being a Mormon definitely does influence all of my decisions. But I feel like above all, I do want to remain and be a person who questions and who is open. And that's the main thing. I always try to make sure that I stay open, because you never know what's going to come in the future, and you never know what understandings or what enlightenment or how your life will change and what experiences will come down your path. And so the only thing I do have a problem sometimes with religion and faith is that it leads people in different directions, and it causes them to think that their direction is correct. And hence they logically think that all others must be wrong. And this is not logical to me, to assume that you know what's right and everyone else is wrong. And I really feel like everyone has a different path spiritually. And I feel like we should respect people's right to experience that own journey and development. And everyone is at a different stage of understanding. And that's why I don't feel like it's my right to judge anybody where their understanding might be. And so I just focus on my understanding and what I know and try to live my life the best that I can based on my knowledge and my understanding and my faith. There's my little spiritual journey in a nutshell.
I appreciate that. And
this is just an exercise of self-control for you.
It really is. This is more for me than anything.
I know how much you just want to...
I do.
You want to save certain comments. It's so funny because I've known you for so long. I know how you're going to respond to certain comments even before I say them. And so sometimes I won't say something just because I don't want to fight it. But other times I just want to...
You just want to... Yeah. You like to stir up some trouble.
And I'll just throw it out there, and I know that you're going to bite.
I do appreciate your story.
Your turn, friend. Thank you.
My story, I'm the atheist.
Hi, atheist.
Hi, I'm David. I'm an atheist. Hi, David.
That was a cute little voice.
So how did I come to be this godless heathen that you see before you today? As you may or may not know, my mom was a practicing Wiccan, which means that she practiced witchcraft, and my dad was actually a Satanist. So no, I'm totally kidding. I'm okay.
For a minute, I was like, "What the?"
I'm totally kidding. No, I grew up in a Catholic household. My mom is Catholic. My dad is actually Lutheran, but as far as I know, not a practicing Lutheran. I don't think I've never seen him go to church except for a few times during the holidays with us growing up. But my extended family, on my mom's side, my maternal side, my grandparents are diehard Catholics. They still, to this day, both are still alive, and they attend daily mass. All of my uncles and aunts, I have 2 uncles who are, in fact, deacons. So I come from a very religious background. I was baptized in the Catholic faith.
Maybe you had too much religion.
Maybe I think that is an issue for a lot of people, why they fall away from the faith. It's too much.
Honestly, I think that it is, because you can get too much.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming, and just you get burned out. So I was baptized. I had first communion. I was confirmed. I went to church every Sunday, like it or not. I attended Catholic schools from nursery school all the way through college. And ironically, I did well in school anyway, but I did exceptionally well in all of my religion and theology courses, especially in grade school.
You have a good understanding of people, and like you would have done well in philosophy.
Yes. But my assignments, in grade school particularly, I was always garnering A++ on all of my assignments, which would, of course, be promptly displayed on our fridge in the kitchen. Not my science or math tests, but religion was always the ones that were posted. And I was always asked by teachers to do the readings at the school masses, so I was really involved.
Because you had a good voice. That wasn't because...
But I'm trying to illustrate how involved I was with the church and with the faith. And my grandparents actually hoped to have a priest in the family and mentioned it many times. They thought it would be so great if I became a priest.
Wouldn't that have been another story?
That would be...
I wonder what kind of friends we would have been then.
I have no idea. But no, I had a very religious upbringing. I could quote Bible verses, if you can believe that. I still remember one, John 11:35, which is Jesus wept. It's the shortest verse in the Bible, which is why I still remember it to this day. I knew all of the books of the Bible in order, as well as how to spell them, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, all the way through.